Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and I am so fortunate today to be interviewing my favorite astrologer, Jyoti Wind. Jyoti, welcome.
Thank you, Lauren. Always good to be here.
Yes, and talking about one of my very favorite subjects. We've got a lot of aspects coming up.
Yeah, we do. The first one I'd like to look at is the full moon on May 23rd. I mean, yes, it's a ways down the road, but at 7:53 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And this full moon, it's interesting because yes, the sun and moon are opposite when you have a full moon, and so there's a certain polarity that comes with that sometimes. But the sun is exactly trining Pluto, and so this in a person's chart, I would say to that person, you emerge victorious. You land on your feet. It's a very empowering aspect. So even though there's this kind of push pull between the sun and the moon, and it's a caution not to assume that people feel opposite you. They may feel the same as you. It's good to inquire. But at the same time that that's going on, there's this real sense of empowerment, and that it's like harnessing power and moving forward with what you feel it's time for.
Hmm. I mean, that sounds rather auspicious, Jyoti.
Absolutely, very empowering and very filled with opportunities, I would think, to empower yourself and to make things happen that at other times would feel very difficult.
So, Jyoti, what I'm hearing, it sounds like maybe that sun moon tension may be more external, but the empowerment is more internal.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Absolutely. And whenever there's a lot of trines, 120-degree aspects, it's always good to have an opposition or two, because otherwise people get lazy with things and things are too easy. So having a little bit of a challenge in there with the trine, it's a good thing.
Well, and also with that challenge, we realize the lesson, right? We can actually see it right before us.
Yes. Yes, and feel it. You feel the tug.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Full moon,
Okay.
check.
Yeah, yes. Looking at a larger picture of possibility, totally apropos for a full moon, because the energy is full blown, full moon. So, a few of the aspects I'd like to touch on in between that full moon and new moon on June 6th is the fact that tomorrow, Friday, May 17th, Mercury is squaring Pluto. And so these are just day long aspects.
Sure.
And so this is deeper insight. This is a deeper insight between, you and the world, you and the things around you. And I realize this is not between the full and the new. This is prior to the full moon and then the new moon. The sun is conjuncting Jupiter on Saturday, May 18th. It's a really possible day. I mean, it's like a fullness, like expansiveness, and things you'd really like to see happen are fairly available. And the fact that coming off this full moon, there has been a Venus Jupiter exact conjunction. Well, that's down the road, I guess. That's not relative to now. I'll come back to that. Okay, so then on Monday the 20th, the sun enters Gemini for 30 days, 30 degrees. And we leave all that Taurusness behind, that grounded, earthy, sometimes stubbornness behind, and we step into Gemini, which is, oh, let's get things moving, let's communicate, let's make changes, because Geminis like change.
Okay.
They like diversity. They get bored when things are the same old, same old.
And Jyoti, you said that aspect was for 3 or 4 weeks?
For 30 days. It's a
Mm,
month. Yeah,
okay.
when the sun goes through a sign. And then just before the full moon on May 23rd, on May 22nd, the sun is trining Pluto, just like in the full moon. So the sun trine Pluto is exact on the 22nd, carrying into the full moon on the 23rd. So that even the 22nd is a very empowering day.
Mhm.
Sun trine Pluto, I mean, you can make things happen that have been stalled or balking or, whatever. You can make things happen. And then we click into that full moon on May 23rd. And we have that full moon and sun trine Pluto. And then a couple days later, so staying with that moon for a minute, Venus and Jupiter are also the same degree in that full moon on May 23rd. And they're both at 29 degrees Taurus. And 29 degrees Taurus is a highly creative degree. So there could be things that suddenly you have a vision for, and it's like you can see the way to do it. That Venus, see that sense of direction and purpose.
So, Jyoti, I want to pause right here and ask some questions because
Sure.
when I think of the full moon and that energy, I'm often thinking of wrapping things up. But hearing these other aspects, it could sound like starting new projects isn't out of question during that time.
Well, to me, the full moon is like manifestation. Maybe you get the idea at the new moon,
Mhm.
and it's always good, like whether you're planting or whether you're starting a project at the new moon. That's a good time to get things going. But things reach their peak at the full moon.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's further manifestation.
Okay. Okay. So things that we might, maybe has been stalled or haven't completed, we'll have that insight and energy to bring it forward.
Yeah, that impetus.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Venus and Jupiter, it's the most creative degree. 29 degrees Scorpio, sorry, Taurus. 29 degrees Scorpio, its opposite is the degree of the magician, so it has that creative energy as well. But this is pure creative energy, art, music, gardening, whatever it is that you're into, birthing something. I mean, that Venus Jupiter is, there's always a caution with Venus and Jupiter, not to be extravagant.
Mm.
However, it gives you kind of carte blanche to just create something.
Yeah. So really paying attention that day to what's dropping in for you.
Yes. And even a couple days leading up.
Right. And also a time that you wouldn't want your schedule so chock-a-block that you couldn't be aware
Yeah,
of what's coming in.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then a couple days later, on May 25th, Jupiter enters Gemini. So it's been in Taurus for the past year, and now it enters Gemini. And so it's going to open up and expand language, coming and going, short distance travel, conversations, all the communicative and thinking um, arts, and practices. I mean, it opens the mind to new ideas and concepts, a bigger picture of possibility. Writing, speaking, networking, short distance travel, juggling several different things at the same time, because Gemini is the hands and arms, the upper duplicities, the hands, the arms, the shoulders, the lungs, and the speaking voice.
Hmm.
That's Mercury that rules Gemini, and so they share those. And so this is Jupiter expanding all of that, expanding how we communicate what we have to say.
So
for the
this may
next
be the
year.
one time that multitasking is supported by the universe.
I would think for the next year,
Wow.
as Jupiter goes through that Gemini sign.
Which makes everything move quicker, right? If we're all
Yes, yes,
multitasking, wow.
yes. And it's also tending to the details
Mhm,
because the opposite of Gemini is Sagittarius, which is seeing the bigger picture. And Gemini needs to tend to the details so the bigger picture has a place to rest,
mhm.
you
Nice.
know? So, and then Jupiter trines Pluto on June 2nd. It's a very, again, empowering day. You know, we've had a lot of squares to Pluto, so this is Jupiter trine Pluto, and it's kind of like stepping into your power and feeling good about where you're at.
Nice.
The right use of power, we know, is to embrace it and empower ourselves and help everyone around you step into theirs. So it expands on that.
Mhm.
Okay. And then the last part I want to look at is the new moon on June 6th. Um, actually, there's two things, but the new moon on June 6th, that's 6:38 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. It's interesting because it's a new moon, so the sun and moon are together, and moon and sun and Venus are all at 16 degrees Gemini.
Wow.
So, you know, two planets together are a conjunction. This is three, so this is called a stellium. And so there's this stellium in Gemini that is, you know, a major new cycle in creative energies, creative writing, creative communication. Symposiums and conferences and, you know, where people can come together and really have different kinds of conversations.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very interesting new moon. And so um it also asks, where might you sometimes get in your own way? We do that. We put our foot in our mouth. We say something and go, oh, what was I thinking? So there's a piece of that there. And then the only other thing I want to mention is that on June 11th, Mars is squaring Pluto. And so Mars square Pluto is intense. It is fierce. Sometimes, much to my surprise, it passes relatively unnoticed. It does. And sometimes it brings confrontations and power plays and challenges.
Okay. And is this a 24-hour period?
Um, I think it might be a couple day event. Let
Okay.
me just look here in June. I'd say it's a little more than 24 hours. So
Wow.
maybe a day and a half. But then even you've got the day before moving
Sure.
in, a
The
day and
building
a
up.
half of it, and then at least a day moving out.
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
But when it's exact on June 11th, um, you know, those kind of days I like to lay low, just so I don't get caught in the crossfire, you know, and just so I don't wind up in situations that I really don't want to have to deal with. I mean, not that I'm avoiding anything, it's just I don't want to get caught in other people's stuff, you
Sure.
know, and I know that's boundaries on my part and my personal choice. Um, but everybody's human, and you know, we sometimes step into stuff that in hindsight it's like, oh, I should have just stayed home and worked in my garden that day.
You know, Jyoti, I think that's always good advice to stay home and work in the garden.
It is, it
Yeah.
is, it really is.
Yeah, Jyoti, as I'm listening to all this roll out, I mean, for me, I can feel this. I'm coming out of April that was so intense and granted, really powerfully healing. It was just tight, and this feels much more expansive, even though there's many aspects, they all carry a similar theme.
And it is about that expansiveness of the planets, some planets moving into Gemini, and especially Jupiter moving into Gemini for the next year.
Yeah,
So Geminis will feel it. Geminis will feel all of a sudden like, oh, I can do all these things, or I can make this
do
happen.
everything.
Yeah, yes, whatever's on the table plus. Um, yeah, and so it takes it also into the realm of ideas and possibilities. Jupiter in Gemini, which is an air sign, which is mental and ideas and concepts and visions and views of things and perceptions.
It might be a good time to recruit a Gemini for your team on whatever you're working on.
Oh, absolutely, because they're running with Jupiter and they're flourishing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, nice, Jyoti. Anything else you'd like to add?
Uh, yes. I just discovered on, oh, think it's June 5th, just before the new moon, that there's what they're calling a parade of planets. So there's 6 planets that are kind of lined up in this arc. I wouldn't say it's the same latitude. I wouldn't say it's the same longitude, but they're all like within a line in the heavens as you look up into the sky, ending with Saturn. So I haven't checked it out, but I'm going to be looking at the night sky on the 4th and 5th and 6th. And it'll be dark because it's the new moon.
Sure.
Just before the new moon, it'll be dark. It'll be a dark sky. And I'll see what I can see, with the naked eye.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's more of an astronomical event than an actual astrological event.
Right, but certainly that lining up would impact a number of things just on its own.
Yeah, kind of a
Yeah,
coming together of maybe sometimes disparate energies.
right, right. Rather than that
Yeah,
opposition. Yeah.
yes, yes, or squares and frustrations. This is more of an aligning with what's happening.
Well, when you think about that, and then we follow it with this creative energy, this that's coming with the new moon and with Gemini, that I mean it is when we're in alignment that we gain that cohesiveness and can be most creative, right? Because when
And
we're in
insight.
yeah, when we're in conflict, we can't be creative. We shut down.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you're a chaotic inventor or painter, and then it's putting the chaos outside on a canvas or, in some art form.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Anything else, Jyoti?
Nope, that's it for me.
Great, great.
So we're taking a little bit of a break. So
Yes.
we'll be back probably mid-June, I would think, or after mid-June.
Okay. So folks, it looks like we'll be back in about 4 weeks and we'll be putting together a second half of the year
Oh,
recording
oh,
as well.
yes, actually, we're doing that before. We're doing that at the end of May. That's right. That's right. I
Okay.
forgot about that. We'll look at the second half of 2024.
Wonderful. Okay. Lots to look forward to. Toti, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with all of us.
My pleasure, Lauren. Yeah.